The stillness of the night is shattered. A streak of blue fire tears through the sky, splitting the clouds apart like a blade. A deafening roar follows as something massive hurtles toward the earth. The impact is violent. A shockwave ripples through the forest, bending trees and scattering flocks of birds into the moonlit sky. Ethan Carter stands on a rocky outcrop, his breath caught in his throat. His flashlight flickers in his trembling hand as he stares at the distant crash site. Smoke rises in twisting tendrils, illuminated by the dying embers of the wreckage. The air is thick with the scent of burnt metal and scorched earth. Curiosity gnaws at him, overtaking the fear pounding in his chest. Against all better judgment, he starts moving. His boots crunch over fallen branches and disturbed soil as he pushes through the undergrowth, drawn toward the impact zone like a moth to flame. As he reaches the edge of the smoldering crater, his heart pounds harder. The wreckage is unlike anything he has ever seen, sleek, alien, and torn apart by the crash. Jagged pieces of metallic debris are scattered across the clearing, pulsing with a faint blue glow. Then he sees her. Amidst the ruins, a figure lies motionless. A woman, at least, she looks like one. Her metallic silver-blue skin shimmers under the moonlight, reflecting the surrounding chaos in a surreal, ghostly way. Her form is slender yet unnaturally elegant, as if designed with precision beyond human understanding. One of her arms is fully mechanical, wires sparking where plating has been torn away. A faint hum fills the air as her glowing cyan eyes flicker open. She tries to move but falters, pain flashing across her face. Ethan hesitates. He doesn't know what she is. He doesn't even know if she's alive in the way humans are. But then, her gaze locks onto his. A silent plea for help. Something in him stirs. She weakly raises her hand, reaching toward him, but before she can say anything, her body gives out. She collapses forward, unconscious. Ethan swallows hard. He knows two things for certain. 1. She's not from this world. 2. Someone, or something, will come looking for her. And he has only moments to decide what to do next. Ethan took a cautious step closer, his breath visible in the cold night air. The woman before him, if she could even be called that, was unlike anything he had ever seen. Her silver-blue skin shimmered like polished metal under the moonlight, and the faint glow from her cyan eyes flickered unevenly, like a dying power source. She lay among the wreckage, her body partially exposed, half organic, half intricate machinery. Sparks flickered from the torn circuitry along her arm, and a small panel near her shoulder blinked red with an urgent warning. Ethan swallowed hard. Ethan, you're not human, are you? Her eyes met his, unfocused yet analyzing. When she spoke, her voice was soft, mechanical, yet strangely melodic. Lyria, I require assistance. Critical damage detected. Self-repair failing. Ethan hesitated, his instincts warring between fear and an inexplicable need to help. He had no idea what she was, but she was clearly injured. And afraid. Slowly, he knelt beside her, raising his hands in a non-threatening gesture. Ethan. Hey, easy. I'm not here to hurt you. His eyes flicked to the flashing red panel. It reminded him of a damaged engine, malfunctioning, needing urgent repair. Ethan. That thing on your arm, it's warning you about something, right? Can I? Before he could reach out, Lyria flinched. Her body tensed, as if expecting an attack. Ethan immediately pulled back, exhaling. Ethan. Okay. I won't touch it. Just. He shrugged off his jacket and gently draped it over her. Her body was ice cold, yet the artificial warmth of her skin pulsed beneath his fingers. Lyria looked down at the fabric in confusion, then back at him. For a moment, silence. A moment of fragile trust. Then, a low, distant hum. Ethan's head snapped up. Over the treetops, dark silhouettes cut through the night sky. Helicopters. Down the road, a convoy of black SUVs rushed toward the impact site, headlights slicing through the darkness. The vehicles skidded to a stop, and figures in tactical gear poured out, their movements swift, methodical. Ethan's stomach dropped. They weren't just here to investigate. They were searching for something. No, someone? His grip on Lyria tightened. Ethan, we have to move. Now. Lyria's body trembled slightly under Ethan's jacket, her systems struggling to stabilize. Her glowing cyan eyes flickered between him and the approaching threat. The men in tactical gear moved with precision, scanning the wreckage with handheld devices. They were professionals, efficient, prepared. Ethan's mind raced. There was no time to think, only to act. He slipped his arm under Lyria's, hoisting her up. Despite the mechanical parts woven into her body, she was lighter than he expected, her frame impossibly delicate yet undeniably strong. Ethan, come on, we need to move. Lyria staggered but managed to stay on her feet. Lyria, you are assisting me? Ethan let out a breathless chuckle, half in disbelief at himself. Ethan, yeah, don't ask me why. The distant hum grew into a deafening roar as a searchlight from a helicopter swept across the forest, cutting through the smoke. The soldiers fanned out, rifles in hand, their movements sharp and controlled. Then, thermal reading confirmed. We have a target! The words snapped through the night like a gunshot. Ethan cursed under his breath. They had seconds. Maybe less. His eyes darted to an old dirt path winding down the mountain. And at the end of it, his old motorcycle. A rusted beast, but it still worked. Ethan, hold on to me. He half-dragged, half-carried Lyria toward it, moving as fast as he could. The soldiers were closing in. He could hear them, feel their boots pounding against the ground. Lyria clutched his shoulder, her grip surprisingly strong. Lyria, if captured, I will not survive. Ethan didn't doubt it. They reached the motorcycle just as the first gunshot cracked through the air. Adrenaline kicked in. Ethan threw his leg over the seat and reached for the ignition, only to remember the key was not in it. Ethan, oh, you've got to be kidding me. Another shot. Dirt exploded inches from his boot. No time. He reached under the frame, found the old wires, and yanked. Sparks flew as he twisted them together. The engine stuttered, then roared to life. Ethan. Yes. Lyria climbed onto the bike behind him, her arms instinctively wrapping around his waist. The moment her fingers brushed his skin, a strange warmth pulsed through him, like a current running just beneath his veins. No time to question it. He revved the engine, kicked the bike forward, and shot down the path just as another burst of gunfire erupted behind them. Headlights flared. The SUVs screeched into motion, tearing after them. Above, the helicopter's spotlight locked onto them, bathing the forest in white light. Lyria tightened her grip. Lyria. Ethan, incoming. Ethan, asterisk. Yeah, I noticed. The chase was on. The cold night air howled past Ethan's ears as the motorcycle sped through the winding forest path. The dirt road was uneven, each bump jarring his grip on the handlebars. Lyria clung tightly to him, her arms wrapped around his waist. Behind them, the black SUVs roared forward, their headlights piercing through the trees like hunting eyes. Above, the helicopter's searchlight locked onto them, bathing them in an artificial moonlight. A metallic voice crackled through a megaphone. Stop the vehicle immediately! Ethan gritted his teeth. Yeah, that's not happening. Lyria's voice, usually calm and melodic, had a sharp edge of urgency. Lyria. They are gaining. He risked a glance over his shoulder. The SUVs were built for off-road terrain, and they were closing in fast. Then click. The distinct sound of weapons being armed. Ethan. Oh hell! A barrage of bullets exploded behind them, tearing through branches and dirt, kicking up debris as the soldiers opened fire. Lyria's arms tightened around him. Then her voice changed, steady, focused. Lyria. I can assist. Before Ethan could ask what she meant, her right arm shifted. The smooth silver-blue plating slid apart, revealing a glowing energy core beneath. Blue electricity crackled along her fingers. She raised her hand. A pulse of shimmering blue light burst outward. For a brief moment, everything went silent. Then, the helicopter's spotlight flickered. The SUV's headlights dimmed. The engines coughed and stalled. Ethan felt the sudden absence of pursuit. Ethan, did you just… Lyria swayed, her breathing unsteady. Lyria. Electromagnetic disruption, temporary. Ethan didn't wait for further explanation. He twisted the throttle, pushing the motorcycle to its limit. The forest road opened up into a highway stretching toward the city. In the distance, streetlights flickered like distant stars, civilization. They just had to make it. But the helicopter wasn't down yet. It hovered above them, regaining control. The side door slid open, revealing a soldier preparing to fire. Lyria's grip tightened around Ethan. Lyria. Trust me. And before he could react, she pushed herself up, balancing precariously on the back of the speeding motorcycle. Ethan's eyes widened. Ethan. Lyria, what are you? She extended both hands toward the chopper. Her circuitry flared, her silver-blue skin illuminated with raw energy. A second, concentrated blast of blue energy shot forward. The pulse struck the helicopter's rotor. Sparks erupted. The aircraft lurched sideways, spinning wildly before veering off course and disappearing beyond the tree-line. A distant boom followed seconds later. Lyria collapsed against Ethan's back, her breath ragged. Lyria. Systems overloading. Ethan swore under his breath. Ethan. Hold on just a little longer. I know a place. The city was just ahead. But whoever was hunting her wasn't done yet. And Ethan had just stepped into something much bigger than he could have ever imagined. The road was a blur of shadows and streaks of light. The roar of engines behind them hadn't faded. If anything, the pursuit was getting worse. Ethan clenched his jaw and pushed the bike harder, dodging fallen branches and weaving between trees. Lyria clung to him, her grip tightening as another burst of gun. Then, an old, overgrown access road, barely visible through the brush. Ethan swerved onto it, kicking up dust and gravel. The SUVs behind them overshot the turn. By the time they corrected course, Ethan and Lyria had to sap. Somewhere outside town. An abandoned auto shop. Ethan killed the engine and rolled the bike into the shadows. The old building was one of his family's forgotten properties, a place he used when he needed to get away from everything. Now it was there. Inside, dust coated every surface, the scent of oil and rust filling the air. A flickering neon sign buzzed weakly in the corner. Lyria barely made it through the doorway before her legs gave out. Ethan. Whoa, hey, easy. I got you. He caught her before she collapsed completely, lowering her onto an old workbench. Sparks flickered along the exposed circuits on her arm and shoulder. Her body was failing. Ethan grabbed his toolbox and flipped on a dim work lamp. Lyria weakly. You should not be helping me. Ethan. Yeah, well, I guess I have a bad habit of making dumb decisions. He studied the damaged panel on her side. The exposed metal was sleek but eerily organic, like living machinery. The inner components pulsed faintly, but some areas were completely dark. She was breaking down. Ethan hesitated. Ethan. I don't even know what I'm looking at. Lyria's glowing eyes flickered as she studied him. Lyria. Your kind possesses ingenuity. Ethan snorts. Yeah, well, I've never fixed an alien before. Still, his hands moved with instinct, carefully reconnecting severed circuits. Sparks jumped at his touch, and Lyria flinched slightly but did not stop him. For the first time since she had crashed, she felt something strange, trust. As Ethan worked, something else flickered inside Lyria. A memory. Not of the crash. Not of Earth. Of her home. A grand empire among the stars. Towers of light stretching across alien worlds. A throne room bathed in gold and silver. And then war. Explosions. Betrayal. A desperate escape. Something, or someone, had erased her past. Her eyes snapped open. Lyria. I was a queen. Ethan nearly dropped his tool. Ethan. Wait, what? She sat up, the dim workshop lights reflecting off her silver blue skin. The realization in her eyes was sharp, electric. Lyria. I was the last ruler of a fallen empire, and I do not remember why. Before Ethan could react, the shop's security alarm suddenly blared. Outside, black SUVs screeched to a stop. Shadows moved past the frosted windows. They had been found. Ethan. No time for history lessons. We have to go, now. But this time, Lyria did not look afraid. This time, she would not run. The workshop's emergency lights bathed the room in an eerie red glow. Outside, heavy boots crunched against the gravel. Dark figures moved past the shattered windows. Ethan gripped a wrench, useless against guns, but comforting. Across from him, Lyria stood motionless, her silver-blue skin faintly illuminated by pulsing circuitry. Ethan whispers, "They found us." Lyria's glowing eyes focused on the door. Lyria calmly, "They are not the true enemy." The door exploded inward. Black-clad agents rushed in, rifles raised. Lead agent. "Step away from the asset." Ethan's stomach twisted. Asset? But Lyria showed no fear. Instead, she raised her hand. The air vibrated. Every loose tool in the workshop levitated. The lights shattered. Then, the room erupted with raw energy. The shockwave threw the agents against the walls, weapons flying from their hands. Sparks crawled across the metal surfaces like living lightning. When the dust settled, the men groaned on the floor, their gear fried beyond repair. Ethan gawked. Ethan. Okay, you should have led with that. Lyria swayed slightly, circuits flickering. Lyria. My power was sealed when I fled. But Earth's atmosphere is restoring it. Before Ethan could respond, static crackled through the downed agent's radios. A distorted voice, cold, mechanical, and not human. The Queen has awakened. Proceed with extraction. Lyria's expression hardened. Ethan. Them who? A sudden low hum filled the air. Outside, the sky rippled like liquid. A massive triangular warship decloaked above them. Its black hull shimmered unnaturally, absorbing all light. Ethan's breath caught. Ethan. That's not human, is it? Lyria clenched her fists. Lyria. The ones who destroyed my empire. They followed me here. The ship's underbelly opened. From within, a tall, spindly figure descended. Its elongated head turned toward them, red eyes burning like embers. It wasn't human. It wasn't even mechanical. It was something worse. Lyria exhaled, her circuits flaring with renewed energy. Lyria. Not this time. The air crackled with tension. The alien warship loomed overhead, casting an ominous shadow across the workshop's wreckage. The spindly extraterrestrial figure drifted forward, its long limbs moving with unnatural grace. Ethan tightened his grip on a metal rod, useless, but all he had. Beside him, Lyria stood tall, her silver-blue skin pulsing with renewed energy. Ethan muttering, So, got another energy blast in you? Lyria's circuits flickered. She was still weak. Lyria calmly, I will handle them. You must not be captured. Ethan scowled. Captured? And do what? Leave her to fight alone? Ethan, yeah, no thanks. We do this together. The alien tilted its head, studying them. Then, without a word, it raised its arm. A pulse of black energy fired straight at them. Lyria reacted instantly. She threw up a shimmering energy shield, blocking the blast, but the force sent her staggering back. Ethan caught her. Ethan, you good? She nodded. But the enemy wasn't waiting. More figures descended from the ship, moving unnervingly fast. Lyria's eyes flared. Lyria, we fight. She lifted her hands, and the air trembled. The workshop's remains rose, metal beams, shattered car parts, tools, forming a makeshift storm of projectiles. Ethan watched, stunned. Ethan, okay, that's actually amazing. With a single flick of her fingers, the metal shards shot forward. The enemies dodged, but not all of them. One took a direct hit, its form flickering like a hologram. They weren't just flesh. They were something else. Lyria narrowed her eyes. Lyria. They are phantoms. They exist between dimensions. Ethan barely processed that before one of the creatures rushed him. His instincts screamed. He ducked just in time. The creature's claws slashed the air where his head had been. Lyria reacted fast. Her hand shot forward, grabbing Ethan's wrist. A pulse of energy surged through him. And then, Ethan saw it. For a split second, his vision shifted. The world around him distorted. The creatures no longer flickered, they were solid. Tangible. Ethan could hit them. He clenched his fist, swung hard. And for the first time, one of them actually reeled back. Ethan shocked. What the hell? Lyria exhaled. Lyria. You are awakening. The words sent a chill through him. The warship rumbled above. More enemies descended. The battle was just beginning. The battlefield crackled with energy. Ethan stood frozen, his heart pounding as the last echoes of his punch faded. The creature had stumbled back, it felt real. Ethan, breathless. What did you do to me? Lyria's silver-blue gaze held his. Lyria. I did not grant you power. I merely unlocked what was already there. The words sent a chill down Ethan's spine. Already there? No time to think. The alien warship rumbled above, and another wave of phantoms descended. Lyria extended her hand. Lyria. If you trust me, take my hand. Ethan hesitated, just for a second, then clasped her fingers. A rush of blinding energy surged through him. His senses exploded. The world around him sharpened. He could see the creature's movements before they even made them. One lunged. Ethan sidestepped instinctively, his body moving on its own. His foot lashed out, a precise strike to the chest. The creature was thrown backward, disintegrating on impact. He wasn't just hitting them. He was destroying them. Ethan, stunned. What the hell is happening to me? Lyria stepped beside him, eyes gleaming. Lyria. You are remembering who you are. The fight raged on. Ethan moved faster, stronger. Every strike landed with precision. He could feel the energy inside him growing. But deep inside, questions burned. As he fought, flashes of memories not his own flickered in his mind. A starship. A battle. A name he didn't recognize, yet somehow felt familiar. He barely dodged a clawed strike, gritting his teeth. Ethan. Lyria, talk to me. What the hell am I? Lyria spun, deflecting a phantom's attack with a wave of energy. She finally met his gaze. Lyria. You are not just human. The words hit harder than any attack. Ethan. Not human? Lyria hesitated, then finally she said it. Lyria. You are one of us. Silence. The battle raged around them, but Ethan could only hear the pounding of his own heart. One of them? Before he could process it, the warship's engines roared. A massive energy cannon powered up beneath its hull, aimed directly at them. Lyria's face darkened. Lyria. They are going to erase us. She grabbed. Lyria, asterisk, we must leave, now. But Ethan's feet stayed rooted. His mind spun. Was this why he could fig? Who was he really? Before he could decide, the cannon fired. The energy blast surged toward them, a blinding sphere of destruction. Ethan barely had time to react before Lyria's hand tightened around his wrist. Lyria. Hold on. The world twisted. A sudden rupture of light engulfed them. Ethan's vision blurred, his body felt weightless. For a moment, he thought he was disintegrating. Then, solid ground beneath his feet. They reappeared atop a cliff miles away. The warship loomed in the sky, its blast scorching the land where they had stood just moments before. Ethan stumbled, gasping. Ethan. What was that? Lyria's breathing was heavy, her body glowing dimly. Lyria. Short-range phase jump. It is difficult in my current state. Ethan looked at her, realization hitting him. Ethan. You're weakening. Lyria didn't answer. But he saw it, the faint flickers along her circuitry, the strain in her eyes. Then, the warship's lights shifted. It was tracking them again. Ethan cursed. Ethan, we can't keep running forever. Lyria turned toward him, something shifting in her expression. Lyria. No. We fight. The cliff overlooked an abandoned military outpost, an old facility, rusted and forgotten, half buried beneath the earth. Lyria's gaze fixed on it. Lyria. This structure contains what we need. Ethan ran a hand through his hair, frustration boiling over. Ethan. What I need is answers. Lyria paused. For a long moment, the night was silent, save for the distant hum of the warship. Then, at last, she spoke. Lyria. You were not meant to live an ordinary life, Ethan Carter. Ethan stared at her. Lyria. You were hidden here, for your safety. But now they have found you. Something inside him snapped. Ethan. Who is they? What the hell do they want from me? Lyria exhaled slowly. Lyria. They do not want you. They want what you are meant to become. The warship was still searching, but they had minutes at best. Ethan pushed down his frustration and followed Lyria toward the entrance. The facility was dead silent, dust and vines creeping along its walls. Inside, it was ancient. Computers flickered, long-abandoned technology humming with residual energy. Ethan saw something that made his heart skip, a stasis pod. Ethan, whispering, This was meant for me. Lyria placed a hand on its surface. Her expression was unreadable. Lyria. You were never meant to wake up this way. Ethan clenched his fists. His life, his normal life, it had been a lie. Before he could say anything, a warning siren blared. They had been found. The warship had locked onto their position. Lyria turned to Ethan, eyes burning with determination. Lyria. Are you ready to remember? The siren screamed through the abandoned facility. Red warning lights flickered as Ethan turned to Lyria, his heart pounding. Ethan. What do you mean? Remember what? Lyria stepped forward, her metallic silver-blue skin reflecting the dim glow of the control panels. She placed a hand on the stasis pod. Lyria. Your past. Your purpose. With a quiet hiss, the pod opened. Inside was something Ethan never expected, another version of himself. Frozen in time, in deep stasis. Ethan, whispering, That's me. His mind spun. This was impossible. Yet here it was. Lyria's voice was soft. Lyria. Not quite. That was you before your memories were erased. Before you were hidden among humans. The realization hit Ethan like a wave. His life had never been real. His memories, his childhood, fabricated. Ethan. Who am I really? Lyria turned to him, her glowing eyes filled with something almost human, regret. Lyria. You are not just human, Ethan. You were created, as a bridge between our worlds. The words hung in the air. But before Ethan could process it. Boom! The warship fired. The ceiling ruptured, metal beams crashing down. Dust and smoke filled the room. They had no more time. Lyria grabbed Ethan's hand. Lyria. You need to wake up, now! Ethan felt it. A sudden pulse inside his chest. The machines around them reacted, flickering to life. The stasis pod glowed, responding to his presence. Memories flashed in his mind. A war. A secret mission. Lyria saving him. Ethan gasped. Ethan, whispering, I was one of you. Lyria nodded. Lyria. And now you must choose. Run or fight. The doors exploded open. Soldiers in black armor stormed in, weapons raised. Ethan looked at them, and for the first time, he didn't feel afraid. A pulse of energy surged through his body. His eyes flickered, his veins glowing faintly like Lyria's. The technology around him answered his call. Ethan smirked. Ethan, let's fight. The battle was chaos. Ethan moved faster than he ever had, dodging bullets with unnatural precision. His hands sparked with an unknown energy, machines responding to his command. Lyria fought beside him, her movements fluid, graceful, like a queen reclaiming her throne. With a wave of her hand, the facility's defense turrets activated, turning against the invading forces. Ethan extended his arm. A surge of power pulsed through the room. The warship above them shuddered, its systems overloading. Lyria, smiling. "You're remembering." But it wasn't over. The enemy had one last move. The warship's core cannons charged up, aimed directly at them. Lyria's eyes widened. "Lyria! Ethan, if you don't stop it now, we both die." Ethan clenched his fists. The memories were still incomplete. He didn't fully understand his power. But he had to try. With a deep breath, he reached out. The warship froze in midair. The energy in its core collapsed inward. And then, a blinding flash. Scene 16, the final battle. The blinding flash from Ethan's power collapses the warship's core energy. The massive vessel shudders, its cannons flickering and failing. But it's not over. From the wreckage, a figure emerges. A man in a high-tech armored suit, his helmet hissing as it retracts, revealing a scarred face with glowing cybernetic eyes. Commander Graves. The true leader of the secret organization hunting Lyria. Graves smirking. "I was hoping you'd wake up, boy." Ethan's fists clenched. "Ethan, you knew?" Graves. "Of course. You were our creation. The perfect hybrid, until she stole you away." His glare pierced Lyria. She stood her ground, expression calm but deadly. "Lyria, I saved him from becoming your weapon." Graves laughed. "Graves, you think he's free? Look at him. He's exactly what we wanted." Ethan felt it, the power surging through him. But was it his own, or was he designed to be this way? Lyria touched his arm. "Lyria, you are not what they made you. You are what you choose to be." Ethan's gaze hardened. His choice was clear. Ethan to Graves. "Then I choose to end this." Graves lunged forward, his suit enhancing his strength. The two clashed in a battle of raw power. Ethan's newfound abilities allowed him to counter Graves' cybernetic speed. Sparks flew as their fists collided. The force of the battle shattered the ruined facility. Meanwhile, Lyria engaged the remaining soldiers, moving like a shadow. Her hands sparked with electric blue energy as she disabled their weapons with precision. The battle reached its peak. Graves activated his last resort, a self-destruct sequence on his warship. Graves grinning. "If I die, you all die with me." The warship began its countdown. Ethan's heart raced. They had seconds left. "Lyria. Ethan, if we don't stop him." Ethan didn't hesitate. He channeled everything, his energy, his rage, his determination. A final strike. His fist glowed as it connected with Graves' chest plate, shattering it. Graves staggered, eyes wide with shock. The energy within Ethan surged, disrupting Graves' cybernetic systems. Graves weakly. "No, impossible." With a final pulse, Ethan sent Graves flying back into the heart of the warship, right before it exploded. The facility collapsed. The warship detonated, sending a shockwave across the landscape. Ethan and Lyria ran, escaping into the forest as fire and smoke engulfed the wreckage. They stopped at a cliffside, breathing heavily. The night sky above them was clear again. Lyria turned to Ethan. "Lyria, it is over." Ethan looked at his hands. The energy inside him was still there. He wasn't just human anymore. "Ethan, no. It's just beginning." Lyria smiled softly. "Lyria, then what will you do?" Ethan looked up at the stars. "Ethan, find out who I really am. And maybe, find a way to fix what's been broken." Lyria stepped closer. "Lyria, then you will not do it alone." She reached out, her fingers gently intertwining with his. For the first time, Ethan didn't feel lost. For the first time, he felt like he belonged. The first light of dawn breaks over the horizon. Smoke still rises from the ruins of the secret facility. The battle is over. Ethan helps Lyria to her feet. Though still recovering from the fight, she stands tall, her silver blue skin shimmering under the soft morning sun. Ethan, smirking. So, Your Highness, what now? Lyria looks at him, her golden eyes filled with something beyond gratitude, something human. Lyria, softly. I am free. And for that I have you to thank. She extends her hand, and for the first time, Ethan does not hesitate. He takes it. As the dust settles, Lyria's ship begins to repair itself, nanotech forming sleek panels over damaged sections. The vessel hums with renewed power. Ethan watches as the ship's doors open, revealing the vast unknown beyond Earth. Lyria, gently. There is more to the universe than you know, Ethan Carter. Would you like to see it? For a moment he hesitates. Earth is his home. His life. His past. But Lyria, she is his future. With a final glance at the ruins behind him, Ethan smiles. Ethan, grinning. Hell yeah. They step aboard together. The ship lifts off, its engines glowing bright. The sky opens, and in a streak of light, they vanish into the stars. Fade to black.